All right. So, what if you're having a problem with a team or a client you can't quite figure out? So, as I touched on earlier, but every service dog trainer, every trainer eventually runs into a problem with a team that they can't figure out. And you try everything you know, and something still feels off, is still not working. So, reaching out for guidance to mentors and other service dog professionals for guidance. Um, each one that I is in my network of people has given me a new way to look at the handler, the dog, and the disability needs. Perspective is the key. So a lot of them challenged what I believed. I was originally taught that some tools were wrong or not allowed. Um, I mentors helped me sort myths from reality and keep learning for my client's safety. I do consider myself a balanced trainer, but I am very much a what works for the dog and what works for the human and how things are perceived by them. So to give one example, um, you know, a lot of people would be there's debates, and I'm not going to debate every tool in this webinar, but for example, an e-collar. The very old original e-collars were quite literally shock collars. They literally shock the dog. The newer age version of e-collars are like a stem, which we use on people all the time, and I have had for multiple years recovering from surgeries to help with pain, all kinds of stuff, and they literally stimulate the muscle. Now, how the dog perceives it is what's important. You can train it in a positive way. You can train it like a clicker, that the stim is the clicker. You can train it as a consequence, that the stim is a correction. You can train it in multiple different ways, but regardless of your training style, if you're at one end or the other in the middle like me, it's how the dog perceives it. And that's what's important. So there are also things like, depending on where you're traveling to different countries have different laws on what tools you're allowed to use and things like that. And there's a lot of discussion on that. So I'm not having that debate today, but we do talk a lot about it in the class. And my big thing is education, that if you're going to use a tool, you should know how to use a tool and you should understand dog behavior and dog body language, etc., well enough to know if the dog is perceiving it as a reward or a correction. And for both, are they perceiving it as a high reward or a low reward or somewhere in the middle? Are they perceiving it as a high correction or a low correction or somewhere in the middle? And teaching handlers to read their dogs and read their dog's body language and understand, regardless of what kind of trainer you are. Like I said, I'm a balance trainer, but this course will teach you whether you're completely positive, whether you're balanced like me, or whether you're a little bit more old school. This course teaches you how to do everything regardless of that, because it's based on connecting the human to the dog training and taking the dog training you already know and helping you turn that into tasks and turn those tasks into helping the humans. It's like a circle, it goes all the way around. So, you can, for example, teach a dog to fetch, by either natural ability, or if you're trying to teach a dog to fetch, um, then you can probably, off the top of my head, do it in 5 different ways. And there are some dogs, like Riley right here, that will never learn to fetch. You can throw something and it would hit him in the head, and he would just look at it like, why did it hit him in the head? Or you could throw something past him, and he had absolutely zero interest in fetch. It didn't matter which way I tried to teach him, he was not a fetching dog. So it's also recognizing when the dog just can't do something you might want it to do. Um, All right, so I realize that service dog work is about adapting to the dog handler team in front of you, like I said, and that community keeps us growing and serving more teams. I could, by teaching you guys and teaching more trainers, through you, can help more teams. I am no longer physically able to do the physical training, so I am doing my best to pass on my knowledge of nearly 2 decades to help you guys help people, and grow a community together. So this is why having a mentor matters. A mentor shortens your learning curve with service dog teams. It helps you avoid ethical and legal mistakes. It gives you real world examples with disabled handlers, from myself to my students that I've had that have given me their permission. And the guidance keeps you focused, confident, and supported. You also don't have to figure everything out on your own.